Once upon a time, there was a woman named Neka who never raised her voice, even when her heart was shaking. People at work called her quiet, but it was not because she was weak. Neka was quiet because she listened more than she spoke. She noticed everything. The way a person smiled when they were happy, and the way they smiled when they wanted something. She could tell when someone was lying just by how fast they blinked. Still, she would just nod, write her notes, and do her job. Neka worked as a secretary at a big company in Lagos. The kind of company with glass walls, cold air, and people that walked fast like they were always late. She came early every day. She left late every day. Her shoes were not fancy, but they were always clean. Her blouse was simple, but it was always neat. She kept a small photo inside her purse, not on her desk. It was a picture of her and her husband, Emeka, smiling in front of their tiny sitting room curtain. That photo reminded her of who she was outside that building. Her boss was a man named Mr. Olatunji Adebayo. People did not just call him Sir. They said it like he was a king. When he walked through the office, people stood straighter. When he cleared his throat, people stopped talking. He was rich, powerful, and always looked sharp. His watch alone could pay someone's rent for a whole year. Neka had worked for him for 3 years. She knew his voice moods. She knew when he wanted tea and when he wanted silence. She knew the difference between come in and come in, the one that meant trouble. That Monday morning, Neka arrived early, like always. She switched on the lights in the office area, set Mr. Adebayo's schedule on his desk, and checked the meeting room one last time. At exactly 8:15, Mr. Adebayo walked in with 2 men behind him. He did not greet anyone. He just walked straight to his office. Neka followed him with her folder. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. Mr. Adebayo did not answer right away. He dropped his briefcase on the chair and loosened his tie like he was tired of the world. "Neka," he said, finally looking at her, "close the door." Her fingers paused on the folder. The door had never scared her before, but something about the way he said it made her stomach tighten. Still, she went to close it. The click sounded too loud. "Yes, sir?" she asked, standing where she always stood, near the side of his desk. He leaned back and studied her face like she was a problem he wanted to solve. "You have been here for 3 years, he said. 3 full years. "Yes, sir," Neka replied. "And you've been loyal," he added, dragging the word like it meant something else. Neka kept her face calm. "I try my best, sir." Mr. Adebayo smiled a little, but it was not a warm smile. It was the kind of smile people used when they already decided something. "I like how you talk," he said. "You don't argue. You don't shout. You don't embarrass me in front of people." Neka nodded. "Thank you, sir." He tapped his fingers on the desk, slow and steady. "You know, there is a new position opening soon." Neka's heart jumped, but she did not show it. She had been working toward that position for a long time. It was a manager role, better pay, better respect. It could change things for her and Emeka. "That's good news, sir," she said carefully. Mr. Adebayo tilted his head. "It is good news, if you know how to take opportunities." Neka blinked once. "I'm ready to work harder, sir. If there's anything you want me to improve." He raised a hand, cutting her off. "It's not about typing faster or arranging my files." Neka's throat felt dry. She held the folder tighter. Mr. Adebayo's eyes moved slowly over her, like he was not looking at her as a worker anymore. Like he was looking at her as something else. "You're a beautiful woman," he said. The room went quiet. Even the air conditioner sounded far away. Neka forced a small smile that did not reach her eyes. "Thank you, sir." Mr. Adebayo leaned forward now. "Do you know how many women would do anything for what you can get with one word from me?" Neka's fingers went cold. "I don't understand, sir," she said, even though she did. He let out a short laugh. "You understand. Don't pretend you don't." Neka's stomach turned. She had heard stories in offices like this. Whispers in the restroom, quiet tears. Women who suddenly got promoted after private meetings. Women who got moved to bad departments after refusing things they did not want. But Neka had always believed that if she worked hard and kept her head down, trouble would pass her by. Now trouble was sitting right in front of her. Mr. Adebayo stood up and walked around his desk slowly. Neka stayed where she was. Her feet felt heavy, but she did not move back. She did not want him to smell fear on her. He stopped too close. "Neka," he said softly, like he was giving her a gift. "I can make your life easy." Neka swallowed. "My life is fine, sir." He smiled again, smaller this time. "No, your life can be better. Bigger house, better car, better clothes. Money that makes people respect you before you even speak." Neka stared at his tie, not his eyes, because if she looked into his eyes too long, she might show anger. "I appreciate your concern, sir," she said, "but I'm married." That word should have ended the talk. It should have made him step back. It should have made him remember his own shame. But Mr. Adebayo only chuckled. "Married?" he repeated. "So what?" Neka lifted her eyes now. Her voice was still polite, but it became firmer, like a door closing. "Sir, I love my husband. I respect him. I will not do anything that will break my home." Mr. Adebayo's face changed. The smile dropped like a mask falling off. He stepped closer. "You're refusing me." Neka's heart was beating fast, but her voice stayed steady. "I'm refusing this, sir. Please, let's keep things professional." Mr. Adebayo's jaw tightened. "Do you know who you are talking to?" "Yes, sir," Neka said. "You are my boss." He laughed, but it sounded sharp, not happy. "You think being good will protect you here?" Neka did not answer. Her silence was her shield. Mr. Adebayo walked back to his chair and sat down hard. He stared at her for a long moment, like he was deciding what kind of pain to choose. Then he opened his drawer and pulled out a paper. "You wanted growth," he said. "You wanted progress." Neka's eyes flicked to the paper. It looked like an internal memo. Mr. Adebayo placed it on the desk and pushed it toward her with one finger. "Read it," he said. Neka stepped forward and read the heading. Her stomach sank. It was a reassignment notice. Her name was there, her staff number, and the new role written clearly. Office maintenance support. Cleaner. For a second, Neka felt like the room tilted, like the floor moved under her feet. She imagined the whispers, the laughter, the way people would look at her like she was dirt. She lifted her eyes slowly. "Sir, is this a mistake?" Mr. Adebayo leaned back, watching her like he enjoyed the shock. "No mistake," he said. "I'm teaching you something." Neka's voice came out small, but she tried to keep it steady. "I have done my work well. I have never been rude to you. I have never embarrassed you." He leaned forward again, his eyes cold now. "You embarrassed me the moment you said no." Neka's hands trembled slightly, but she placed them behind her back so he wouldn't see. "Sir," she said carefully, "I said no to something wrong. That should not be a crime." Mr. Adebayo's lips curled. "Wrong? You're here to judge me." Neka shook her head once. "No, sir. I'm only asking to be treated fairly." He stood up again, and his voice dropped low, dangerous. "Neka," he said, "you will learn your place." Neka breathed in slowly. She thought of Emeka. She thought of the small photo in her purse. She thought of the kind of woman she wanted to be, even when life tried to break her. She straightened her shoulders. "If you want to punish me for being loyal to my husband," she said softly, "then do what you must, sir. But I will not change my answer." Mr. Adebayo stared at her like he had never been challenged in his life. Then he smiled again, but this time it was darker than before. "Good," he said. "I like stubborn people." He pointed at the notice. "Sign it." Neka's eyes widened. "Sir." "Sign it," he repeated, louder. Neka's fingers hovered over the paper. She did not want to sign, but she also knew that if she refused, he could make things worse. He could twist the story. He could claim she was the problem. So she picked up the pen, and with a steady hand, she signed her name. Mr. Adebayo took the paper back like he had won a game. As Neka turned to leave, he called her again. "Neka." She paused at the door, her back still straight. Mr. Adebayo's voice was calm, almost sweet. You just chose your future. Neka opened the door and stepped out, the noise of the office rushing back into her ears like nothing happened. But inside her chest, something had changed. Not into hate, not into revenge, into a quiet promise. No matter what they turned her into in that building, she would not let them turn her into someone she could not respect. And as she walked back to her desk to pack her things, she did not know yet that Mr. Adebayo had just made the biggest mistake of his life. The next morning, Neka did not cry. She woke up before the alarm rang, like she always did. She washed her face, tied her hair neatly, and wore the same kind of simple clothes she always wore. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she noticed her eyes were a little red, but her face was calm. If anyone asked, she could say it was sleep. Emeka was still lying on the bed, half asleep. "You're up early," he said, rubbing his eyes. Neka smiled softly. "Same as always." He sat up a bit and looked at her more closely. "You're quiet today." She paused, then picked up her bag. "I'm always quiet." Emeka did not push. He only nodded. "Have a good day." "You too," she replied, and stepped out. On the bus ride to work, Neka stared out the window. Lagos moved fast around her. Hawkers shouting, cars honking, people running late. Everything felt normal, and that almost made her heart ache more. When she walked into the office building, something felt off right away. A few heads turned, then a few more. People whispered, not quietly enough. "Is it true?" I heard she annoyed him. Cleaner, from secretary. Neka walked past them like she did not hear anything. Her back stayed straight. Her steps stayed steady. She reached her desk, or what used to be her desk. Someone else was sitting there now, a young woman she had trained herself. The girl looked up and froze. "Oh, good morning," the girl said awkwardly. "Good morning," Neka replied, calm. She did not ask questions. She did not argue. She picked up the small box with her name on it that had been placed on the floor beside the desk. Inside were her pens, her notebook, and a stapler she had bought with her own money. Before she could turn away, a voice called out, "Neka." It was Mr. Adebayo's assistant manager, Mr. Femi. "HR wants to see you," he said, avoiding her eyes. Neka nodded. "Okay." The HR office smelled like air freshener and fear. Two people sat behind the desk, a man and a woman. They both smiled the kind of smile that meant nothing. "Neka," the woman said, folding her hands. "Please, sit." Neka sat. "We're sure you already know about the reassignment," the man said. "Yes," Neka replied. The woman nodded quickly. "It's temporary. Just a company decision." "A decision based on what?" Neka asked, her voice polite. The two HR staff exchanged looks. "Performance review," the man said. Neka lifted her eyes. "Can you tell me which part of my performance was poor?" The room went quiet. The woman cleared her throat. "It's not something we can go into right now." Neka nodded slowly. "So there is no written warning, no query, no review meeting." The man smiled stiffly. "These things happen." Neka leaned back slightly. "Then I want it written that I accepted this role under protest." The woman blinked. "That won't be necessary." "It is necessary to me," Neka said calmly. Another pause. Finally, the man nodded. "We'll note it." Neka stood up. "Thank you." As she walked out, she heard the woman whisper, "She's too calm." By noon, the reassignment was official. Neka was given a gray uniform and a mop. The weight of it felt heavier than it looked. Her former co-workers watched her change. Some pretended not to see her. Some stared. One or two laughed. A woman she used to share lunch with shook her head and whispered, "Sorry." "Oh." Neka only nodded. Her first task was to clean the executive floor. When she stepped into Mr. Adebayo's office with the mop, he was there, signing papers. He looked up and smiled slowly. "You see?" he said. "Work is work." Neka said nothing. She moved quietly, wiping the table she once arranged every morning. She cleaned the chair he sat on. She picked up dust near the window where she used to stand and take notes. "Don't miss a spot," he added. "Yes, sir," she replied. Her voice did not shake. By evening, her arms ached, her back hurt, but the pain inside her chest hurt more. When she got home, Emeka was waiting. "You're late," he said gently. She placed her bag down. Work was busy. He noticed the uniform folded inside the bag by mistake. He reached for it, then paused. "Neka," he said slowly, "what is this?" She took a deep breath. She had planned not to say anything yet, but lies felt heavier than truth. "I was moved," she said. "Moved," Emeka repeated. "To cleaning." The room went quiet. "Why?" he asked. Neka sat down. Her voice stayed calm, but her words were careful. "Because I said no to something I should have said no to." Emeka's hands tightened. "Did he?" "No," she said quickly. "Nothing happened. I refused." Emeka stood up and paced. "This is wrong. I know," Neka replied. "But it's done. We will fight it," he said. Neka shook her head. "Not now. Let things settle." Emeka stopped and looked at her. "Why are you so calm?" Neka met his eyes. "Because if I break now, they win twice." Emeka said nothing. He pulled her into a hug, tight and quiet. The next morning, Neka returned to work. Same bus, same gate, different eyes watching her. She pushed the mop across the floor of the executive wing. When she reached the big meeting room, she paused. This was the room she used to prepare before every board meeting. The room where people listened when she spoke. Now she cleaned it. Neka dipped the mop again and kept going. She did not know how long this would last. But she knew one thing clearly. They had taken her title. They had taken her desk. But they had not taken her voice. Not yet. By the third week, the mop no longer felt strange in Neka's hands. Not because she liked it, but because the body learns fast when it must. Her palms got rough. Her shoulders stayed sore. She began to move through the office like a shadow, quiet and careful, wiping glass, emptying bins, cleaning corners that people never noticed until they were dirty. But even as her body adjusted, the people around her became worse. At first, the laughter had been whispering. Now it was open. One morning, as Neka pushed her cleaning cart past the staff kitchen, she heard a loud voice. Is that not Madam Secretary?" A woman named Kemi said, laughing too hard. Another voice answered, "Leave her. Maybe she's looking for promotion inside dustbin." They all laughed. Neka paused at the doorway, holding a small trash bag. She could smell coffee and bread. She could hear the microwave humming. She stepped in calmly and went to the bin. Kemi leaned on the counter, eyes shining with cruel joy. "Neka, good morning." Neka dropped the trash bag gently and tied it. "Good morning." Kemi stepped closer. "So this job, how is it? You still type fast?" A few people giggled. Neka looked at her with a calm face. "The bin is full. I'm clearing it." Kemi's smile twitched. "See her mouth. She is still doing like she is better than us." Another woman added, "Maybe she is waiting for Mr. Adebayo to call her back." They laughed again. Neka did not answer. She picked up the trash bag and walked out, her cart rolling behind her. As she reached the hallway, she heard someone whisper, "She should be ashamed." Neka kept walking. But inside her, a small ache spread, not sharp like anger, more like tiredness. It wasn't the work. It was people acting like her pain was entertainment. Later that day, Neka was cleaning the corridor outside Mr. Adebayo's office when she heard his voice through the slightly open door. "Femi, did you see her today?" Mr. Adebayo asked, sounding amused. Mr. Femi laughed nervously. "Yes, sir. She was mopping near the boardroom." Mr. Adebayo made a small sound like a chuckle. "Good. Let her remember." Neka's fingers tightened on the mop handle. Then, the door opened fully, and Mr. Adebayo stepped out. He paused when he saw her, like he had forgotten she was a person and not just a tool. He looked her up and down, slow and proud of himself. "Neka," he said. "Yes, sir," she replied, keeping her voice steady. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You still have time. You can still make the right choice." Neka did not move. "I already made my choice, sir." Mr. Adebayo's eyes darkened. "So you want to suffer?" "I don't want to do anything wrong." Necker said simply. He stared at her like he wanted to slap the words out of her. Then he smiled again, sharp and small. Fine, he said. Keep your morals. Let's see how far morals will take you in Lagos. He walked away. Necker watched him go, then pushed her mop bucket forward and continued cleaning the same floor he walked on, like she was cleaning his footprint out of her life. That evening, at home, Emeka sat at the table while Necker washed plates. He kept looking at her, like he wanted to speak but didn't want to break her calm. Finally, he said, "They are treating you like this every day?" Necker rinsed a plate and placed it in the rack. "Not every day." Emeka's voice rose. "Nika, don't protect them. Tell me." She dried her hands and sat down slowly. "Some people laugh. Some people pretend I don't exist. Some people act like I deserve it." Emeka clenched his jaw. "I want to go there." Necker shook her head quickly. "No, please." "Why?" Emeka asked. "So they will keep stepping on you?" Necker leaned forward and spoke softly, but firmly. "If you go there and fight, they will say I sent you. They will turn it into another story. I'm already carrying one problem. I don't want to." Emeka stared at her. "So what do we do?" Necker looked down at her hands. The rough skin made her feel older than she was. "We breathe. We watch. We plan. That's all I can do for now." Emeka exhaled hard, then nodded slowly. "Okay, but I'm here." Necker's chest warmed a little. "I know." The next week, the company announced the big anniversary event. It was supposed to be a celebration, but people in the office talked about it like it was a show. Board members would come. Shareholders would come. Important guests would come. Everybody would dress well and smile for cameras. Necker only heard about it when she walked past the notice board. Company Anniversary Night. Attendance is mandatory. Her eyes moved down the list. All staff must attend. All staff must follow dress code. All staff must show respect to executives and guests. Under it was another paper stapled, smaller, like an extra warning. Maintenance staff must attend in uniform. Necker stared at those words for a long moment. Maintenance staff. That meant her. She felt her throat tighten, but she swallowed it down. She tore her eyes away from the paper and pushed her cleaning cart forward. She did not have time to stand and stare at pain. Later that day, in the hallway, Kemi and two other women stopped her. "Necker." Kemi called loudly. Necker paused. "Yes." Kemi waved the flyer in her hand. "You saw it, right? Anniversary night." "Yes," Necker replied. Kemi smiled wide, showing teeth. "Good. Don't forget to come. Oh, it is mandatory." One of the women giggled. "Please come early. We want to see you." Another added, "Wear your uniform well. Make sure it's clean." They all laughed, loud enough for people to turn and watch. Necker looked at them calmly. "My uniform is always clean." Kemi's smile dropped a bit. "Eh? You're still forming." Necker pushed her cart gently. "Excuse me, I have work." As she walked away, she heard Kemi hiss, "This one, pride will finish her." Necker did not turn back. She only kept walking, but inside her mind, the words mandatory kept repeating like a drum. That night was not just a party. It was a stage. And they were bringing her there like a joke. When Necker reached the executive floor later, she found an envelope placed on her cleaning cart. Her name was written on it. Necker opened it slowly. Inside was a printed invitation. Not just a flyer, a personal invite. At the bottom, in bold letters, it read, "You will attend. You will stand where you are told. Do not disgrace this company." Necker's fingers tightened around the paper. She looked up and saw Mr. Adebayo at the end of the hallway, watching her. He did not smile this time. He only stared, like he was sure she could do nothing. Necker folded the invitation neatly, placed it back in the envelope, and set it on her cart like it was just another piece of trash to sort later. But as she pushed the cart forward, her heart was beating harder. Because now she understood. They were not just punishing her with work. They wanted to punish her in public. Necker got home that evening with the invitation still folded inside her bag, like a stone she was carrying. She tried to act normal. She washed her hands. She warmed the leftover rice. She asked Emeka how his day was, but her eyes kept drifting to her bag, like the paper inside was staring back at her. Emeka noticed. "You have been quiet since you entered," he said, sitting at the small table. Quiet in a different way. Nneka forced a small smile and placed a plate in front of him. "I'm fine." Emeka did not touch the food. He watched her the way someone watches a pot that might boil over. "Nneka," he said gently, "did something happen today?" She hesitated. Then she reached into her bag and brought out the envelope. She placed it on the table like she was placing a problem between them. Emeka picked it up and read. His eyes moved across the words. The more he read, the more his face changed. "Mandatory," he said slowly. "And they want you to wear uniform." Nneka nodded once. "They want to use me as a joke." Emeka's hand tightened around the paper. "Who gave you this?" Nneka swallowed. "Mr. Adebayo." Emeka stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. "This man is mad," he said, pacing. "He wants to disgrace you in front of people." Nneka's voice stayed calm. "Yes." Emeka turned to her, his eyes sharp. "Why are you still calm like this?" Nneka looked down at her hands. "Because if I start shouting, I won't stop. And I still have to wake up tomorrow and go there." Emeka stopped pacing and leaned on the table with both hands. "What did you do to him?" he asked, even though he already knew. Nneka's throat tightened. She spoke slowly, like she was walking on broken glass. "He wanted something. He said promotion. He said he can make my life easy." Emeka's jaw clenched. "And you said no," he finished. Nneka nodded. "I said no." Emeka's voice dropped low. "So he is punishing you?" "Yes," Nneka said. "But I didn't do anything wrong." Emeka stared at the wall for a moment, breathing hard. Then he looked back at her, and his voice softened. "You didn't do anything wrong," he repeated, like he wanted her to hear it twice. "You did the right thing." Nneka's eyes stung, but she blinked it away. Emeka sat back down, slower this time. He tapped the envelope with one finger. "Do you want to go?" he asked. Nneka hesitated. "If I don't go, they'll say I'm stubborn. They'll use it as another reason." Emeka nodded slowly. "And if you go, they'll laugh at you." Nneka's shoulders lifted slightly, then dropped. "Yes." Emeka stared at the invitation again, then looked up like a thought hit him. "Do you trust me?" he asked. Nneka blinked. "Of course." Emeka leaned forward. "Then let them plan their show." Nneka's heart skipped. "What do you mean?" Emeka did not answer right away. He stood up and walked to the small shelf where he kept his laptop bag. He pulled out his laptop and placed it on the table. Nneka watched him, confused. "Emeka, what is going on?" Emeka opened the laptop, clicked a few things, then turned the screen slightly away from her. Nneka frowned. "Why are you hiding it?" Emeka looked at her, serious. "Because I don't want you to worry. Not yet." Nneka's voice rose a little. Not angry, just tired. "Emeka, I'm already worried." Emeka closed the laptop gently. He reached across the table and held her hand. "Nneka," he said, "I have been working on something for months." Nneka stared at him. "What thing?" Emeka took a deep breath. "A deal." Nneka's eyes narrowed slightly. "What kind of deal?" Emeka smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was a careful smile. "A big one," he said. Nneka's heart beat faster. "With who?" Emeka shook his head. "I can't say yet." Nneka pulled her hand back a little. "Why?" "Because if it fails, I don't want it to break you," Emeka said. "And if it works, I want it to speak for itself." Nneka stared at him. The room felt suddenly bigger than their small apartment. "You're scaring me," she said. Emeka reached for her hand again. "Don't be scared. Just listen. The company you work for, they are not as strong as they pretend." Nneka swallowed. "What do you mean?" Emeka leaned closer. "They need partners. They need new money. They need new projects. That is why they are doing that anniversary party. It's not just dancing, it's business." Nneka's eyes widened. "So the party is like a meeting?" "Yes," Emeka said. "Board members, shareholders, and big guests will be there." Nneka stared at the invitation again. They want to shame me in front of those people. Emeka's voice became firm. And that's why I'm telling you something now. Not everything, but enough. Neka's throat felt tight. Tell me. Emeka took a deep breath. I have been negotiating to buy a logistics company, he said. Neka blinked. Buy? Emeka nodded. Not alone. With partners. People who have money. People who know the market. We have been working quietly. Neka's mouth opened slightly. Emeka, where did you get? Emeka raised a hand to stop her. I did not steal. I did not gamble. I worked. Neka swallowed. But you always told me your work was fine. Just normal. Emeka nodded slowly. It was normal. Until I found a gap. Until I met the right people. Until I decided I was tired of just surviving. Neka stared at him. For a moment, she did not know what to feel. She felt proud. She felt shocked. She felt like she was standing at the edge of something she could not see. And this deal, she whispered. What does it have to do with my office? Emeka's eyes locked on hers. Everything. Neka's heart thumped. Emeka continued, slow and clear, like he was laying blocks one by one. The company you work for needs a logistics partner for a new project, he said. They have been searching. They are desperate. If they don't secure the right partner, investors will pull back. Neka's lips parted. So they need someone to save them. Emeka nodded. Yes. Neka's voice became small. And you? Emeka's face stayed calm. My group is one of the final options. Neka sat back like the air left her body. You mean? She started. Emeka finished it for her. The same company that thinks you are a joke is begging quietly for the deal that can keep them alive. Neka stared at him, stunned. Does Mr. Adebayo know? Emeka shook his head. Not yet. He only knows that a partner is coming. He does not know the person. He does not know the name. Neka's mind spun. So the party? Emeka nodded. The party is where the final announcement will happen. Neka looked down, trying to breathe slowly. Emeka reached out and touched her arm. That is why I said, let them plan their show. Neka's voice trembled, just a little. Emeka, are we rich? Emeka let out a quiet breath, almost like a laugh that had pain inside it. Not yet, he said. But if this closes, we will never be at their mercy again. Neka's eyes filled, but she held it back. And you didn't tell me, she whispered. Emeka looked ashamed for a second. I wanted to protect you. Neka nodded slowly. I understand. Emeka leaned closer. Please, Neka, don't change how you are. Don't go to that party angry. Don't go there begging. Just go like yourself. Neka swallowed. But they want me in uniform. Emeka's voice dropped. Neka, listen. We are not going to do anything loud. We are not going to fight them in their own messy way. Neka stared. So what will we do? Emeka's eyes were steady now. We will be quiet. We will be smart. We will let truth enter the room by itself. Neka's heart beat hard. But what if the deal fails? Emeka held her gaze. It won't. Not because I'm lucky. Because I have already done the hard part. The final step is just signatures. Neka breathed in, then out. Emeka picked up the invitation again and read the bold line. You will attend. He smiled slightly. Good. You will. Neka looked at him. Emeka. He reached across the table and squeezed her hand gently. Let them laugh now, he said. Let them think they are winning. Just don't let them break you before the truth arrives. Neka nodded, slowly, like she was agreeing to something bigger than fear. That night, when she lay in bed, she did not sleep fast. She stared at the ceiling, listening to Emeka's breathing beside her, and thinking about the party. It was still coming. They still wanted to disgrace her. But now, for the first time since that day in Mr. Adebayo's office, Neka felt something different. Not revenge. Not pride. A quiet shift. Like the world was about to turn, and the people laughing did not know they were standing on the wrong side of it. The week of the party moved like a long bus ride in traffic. Slow, hot, and loud in Neka's head. At work, people acted like they had front-row tickets to her shame. They didn't even hide it anymore. They said her name too much. They laughed too easily. They watched her like she was a small drama they could use to make their own day feel better. On Wednesday, as Neka wiped fingerprints off the glass wall near the reception, Kemi walked up with two other women, holding her phone like she was about to take a picture. "Neka," Kemi called. Neka kept wiping. "Yes?" Kemi smiled wide. "So you're coming on Friday, right?" Neka nodded. "Yes." Kemi's eyes lit up. "Good. Make sure you come early. We want to place you where everybody will see you." One of the women laughed. "Maybe she will mop the dance floor too." They all laughed together. Nika finally turned and looked at them. Her face was calm, but her eyes were steady. "I will be there," she said. Kemi leaned closer. "In uniform?" Neka nodded again. "Yes." Kemi's smile grew. "Perfect." Neka turned back to the glass and continued wiping until it was clear enough to see her own reflection. She looked at herself for a second. Not the uniform, not the mop. Her face, her eyes. She looked like someone who was tired, but not broken. That night at home, Emeka did not talk much. He only checked his phone, then put it down, then checked it again. He moved around like a person trying to keep his mind from shaking. Neka watched him from the doorway. "You're doing that thing again," she said softly. Emeka paused. "Which thing?" "That thing where you pretend you're fine," she replied. Emeka gave a small laugh that didn't sound happy. "I'm fine." Neka walked closer. "Emeka." He looked at her and sighed. "The deal people are coming in tomorrow. Just to greet. Just to confirm things." Neka's heart beat faster. "So it's real." Emeka nodded. "It's real." Neka stared at him. "Will you be at the party?" Emeka hesitated, then shook his head. "Not in the way you think." Neka frowned. "What does that mean?" Emeka lowered his voice. "I can't enter as your husband. Not yet. The company must not connect you to me before the announcement. They will try to block it. They will try to poison it." Neka's chest tightened. "So I'll go alone." Emeka stepped closer and held her hands. "You won't be alone. You will just look alone." Neka swallowed. "And my uniform?" Emeka looked at her hands, rough from work, then looked back up. "Neka, you can go in uniform if you want. But you don't have to." Neka shook her head. "If I change it, they will say I'm fighting them. They will start another fight before the real moment comes." Emeka nodded slowly, like he respected her thinking. "Okay." Neka took a deep breath. "But I don't want to look like a joke." Emeka's eyes softened. "You're not a joke." Neka's voice was small. "They will still laugh." Emeka held her hands tighter. "Then let them laugh. It will not last." On Friday morning, Neka woke up early. She ironed her uniform carefully, the same way she ironed her office clothes back when she still had a desk. She packed it neatly into her bag. At work, the whole building felt like it was holding its breath. People were dressed in fancy clothes already, even before closing time. Perfume filled the elevators. Men adjusted their suits in the mirror walls. Women fixed their hair and smiled at their own reflections. Neka cleaned quietly, moving around them like she was invisible, but she could feel eyes on her everywhere. By 4 p.m., the cleaners were told to stop work and prepare for the party. Neka entered the small changing area for maintenance staff. It was not a real changing room, just a corner with a curtain and a cracked mirror. 2 other cleaners were there, older women who did not gossip. One of them, Mama Ruth, looked at Neka's uniform and sighed. "They are wicked," Mama Ruth said softly. Neka forced a small smile. "It's fine." Mama Ruth shook her head. "It's not fine, but you're strong." Neka nodded and changed in silence. She wore the gray uniform, buttoned up, and tied her hair neatly. She did not add makeup. She did not add extra things. She wanted to enter the room with the same calm face she had carried through all the laughter. When she stepped out, she saw Kemi at the end of the hallway, dressed in a shiny gown, holding her phone like she was waiting. Kemi clapped slowly, mocking. "Wow," Kemi said loudly. "You really did it." Neka walked past her without stopping. Kemi followed. "Neka, don't worry. At least you will be useful tonight. If your eyes are paining you, you can wash plates." Neka did not answer. Kemi laughed. "See her, still proud." They entered the company event hall together, and the light inside was bright like a movie set. The hall was big, with gold decorations and flowers on every table. There were cameras, there were waiters, there was soft music. People stood in groups, laughing loudly, holding drinks, shaking hands, looking important. Neka stood at the entrance for a second, her heart beating fast. Not from fear only, but from how strange it felt to be in that room wearing a uniform while people she used to work beside wore expensive gowns and suits. A man at the door, part of the event staff, looked at Neka's uniform and frowned. "Maintenance?" he asked. Neka nodded. "Yes." He pointed. "Stand at the side. Don't block the entrance." Neka walked to the side and stood. Then she saw the first person she recognized from the board, a gray-haired man with glasses. He had come for meetings before. Behind him were two women with sharp eyes and serious faces. Shareholders, people who decided who stayed and who left. Neka's throat tightened. A few minutes later, Mr. Adebayo arrived. He did not come in quietly. He came in like the room belonged to him. He wore a black suit and a confident smile. People greeted him fast. "Good evening, sir." "Sir, welcome." Mr. Adebayo waved like a politician, shaking hands, smiling, laughing. Then his eyes landed on Neka standing at the side. His smile became slow. He walked toward her, not rushing, like he wanted people to notice. "Neka," he said loudly enough for people close by to hear. Neka bowed her head slightly. "Good evening, sir." Mr. Adebayo looked her up and down, then smiled as if he was pleased with the picture. "Good," he said. "You came." "Yes, sir," Neka replied. He leaned closer, still smiling. "Remember what I said. Stand where you are told." Neka met his eyes. "Yes, sir." Mr. Adebayo stepped back, then turned to a group of staff nearby. "Can someone give our maintenance staff something to do?" he said with a laugh. "This is a party. Nobody should stand idle." Kemi laughed loudly from behind. A man in a suit chuckled. "Sir, you're too much." Mr. Adebayo smiled wider. No. It's good for everyone to remember their place." Neka felt heat rise in her chest, but she forced it down. She did not want to give him the reaction he wanted. A female staff member hurried over with a tray. "Neka, please help us pass these snacks." Neka nodded and took the tray. She began walking around quietly, offering snacks to people who barely looked at her. Some took and said thank you. Some took and didn't speak. Some stared at her uniform, then whispered to each other like she could not hear. As she moved deeper into the hall, she noticed something strange. Some tables at the front had name cards, big names, important names. There was one card that made her pause. Emeka Okonkwo, partner representative. Neka blinked and looked again to be sure. Her heart jumped hard. Partner representative. So Emeka was already part of the seating plan. Even if he was not there yet, the company had already prepared a place for him. Neka's hands shook slightly, but she steadied the tray and walked on. In the corner, Kemi caught her eye and smirked, enjoying how she looked like she did not belong. Neka kept moving, offering snacks, keeping her face calm, even as her heart raced. Then, the music lowered. A man with a microphone stepped forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "we will begin shortly. Please take your seats." People started moving toward their tables. Mr. Adebayo walked confidently toward the stage, adjusting his suit jacket like he was about to shine. Neka stopped near the side of the hall, still holding the tray. She looked at the stage. She looked at the board members. She looked at the empty seat with Emeka's name. And she understood something clearly. Tonight was not just a party. Tonight was a battlefield with smiles. And Mr. Adebayo was walking onto the stage, believing he had already won. The microphone tapped lightly. Mr. Adebayo stepped up, took it, and smiled at the crowd like a man about to give a speech that would make everyone clap. Neka stood very still at the side, her eyes steady, her heart pounding, as his voice filled the hall. "Good evening, everyone," Mr. Adebayo began. "Tonight, we celebrate success." Mr. Adebayo's voice rolled through the hall like smooth music. "Good evening, everyone. he said again, smiling as if he owned the air. Tonight, we celebrate success. We celebrate growth. We celebrate loyalty. People clapped. Some clapped because they meant it. Some clapped because everyone else was clapping. Cameras flashed. Glasses lifted. Neka stood at the side, the snack tray still in her hands. She was close enough to hear every word, but far enough that she could breathe. Mr. Adebayo lifted his free hand, calming the claps. You know, he continued, a company is like a family. In a family, people must know their roles. People must respect order, and when someone does not follow order, there must be correction. A small laugh came from a few tables. Neka felt a sharp pinch in her chest, not because of the words, but because she knew who he was talking about without saying a name. Mr. Adebayo's eyes moved across the hall, then landed on the maintenance section at the side. He didn't stare too long, just long enough to make the message clear. Correction is love, he said, smiling. It helps people become better. More claps. Neka kept her face calm. She watched the board members. Some were smiling politely, some were not smiling at all. The gray-haired man with glasses was watching Mr. Adebayo like a man who measured every word. Mr. Adebayo went on, proud and loud. This year, he said, we have proven that we are strong. We have proven that no one person is bigger than this company. No one staff is above discipline. No one staff is above the rules. Neka's fingers tightened on the tray. She looked down for 1 second, then lifted her eyes again. She would not look away for long. Not tonight. Mr. Adebayo took a step forward on the stage, voice rising. And because of that, he said, we are about to enter a new season. A season of bigger profit. A season of bigger partners. A season of bigger respect in this country. The hall clapped again. Then the MC, the man holding a second mic beside the stage, leaned in and whispered something to Mr. Adebayo. Mr. Adebayo nodded and smiled wider, like the best part of his show had arrived. Yes, Mr. Adebayo said, turning back to the crowd. In fact, tonight is special because we have important guests, board members, shareholders, people who believe in our vision. He stretched his hand toward the front table. Please, let's appreciate our board. The board members clapped lightly. Cameras turned toward them. Mr. Adebayo lifted his chin. And now, he continued, we will make an announcement that will take this company to the next level. The music dropped lower. People leaned forward. Even Kemi stopped whispering for a moment. Neka's heart began to beat faster, but she did not move. Her eyes went to the empty seat card again. Emeka Okonkwo, partner representative. Mr. Adebayo pointed toward the side of the stage. Our partner team has arrived. 2 men in suits walked in first, escorting someone behind them. The crowd began to clap, but it was a confused clap, like they were clapping before they fully understood. Then the person stepped into the light. It was Emeka, but it was not Emeka in his normal shirt and simple shoes. This Emeka wore a clean dark suit that fit him perfectly. His hair was trimmed neatly. A calm look sat on his face like a shield. He walked with slow confidence, not rushing, not shaking. For a second, Neka forgot how to breathe. The tray in her hands felt heavier. Her feet felt stuck to the floor. Emeka's eyes moved through the hall, calm, steady, until they found her. He did not smile big. He did not wave. But his eyes spoke. I'm here. Neka's throat tightened. She swallowed hard and forced herself to stay still. She did not want the room to notice her first. Not yet. Mr. Adebayo stepped forward, still smiling, holding the mic like a man who thought he was about to shake hands with someone he could control. Welcome, he said loudly. We are honored to have you. Please, come. Emeka reached the stage. The MC handed him a mic too. Mr. Adebayo turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the representative of our new partner group. The crowd clapped again, louder this time. Mr. Adebayo leaned toward Emeka and spoke into the mic, trying to sound friendly. Sir, he said, please introduce yourself to everyone. Emeka lifted his mic and looked at the crowd. My name is Emeka Okonkwo, he said, clear and calm. I represent Okonkwo Holdings and our partner team. A few people murmured. Some heads turned quickly. like they knew that name. Mr. Adebayo's smile stayed, but it became a little stiff. Emeka continued, "We are happy to be here." The grey-haired boardman leaned toward another board member and whispered something. Mr. Adebayo laughed lightly. "Wonderful, wonderful. We are happy too. This partnership will be good for all of us." Emeka nodded once. "It will." Mr. Adebayo turned back to the crowd, ready to finish the moment with a big speech. "And you see," he said, lifting his hand, "this is what discipline brings. This is what order brings. This is what loyalty brings. We are a company of strong values." He said values with pride, like it was a crown. Emeka's face did not change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Then Emeka spoke, calmly, into his mic. "Before we go further," Emeka said, "I have a small question." The hall went quieter. Mr. Adebayo laughed as if it was normal. "Of course. Please." Emeka looked around, then looked back at Mr. Adebayo. "In your speech," Emeka said, "you spoke about loyalty and values." "Yes," Mr. Adebayo replied quickly. "That is our strength." Emeka nodded. "Good." He paused, not rushing, letting the silence grow. "Then I want to understand something," Emeka said. "How does your company treat staff who behave with loyalty and values?" Some people shifted in their seats. A few smiles faded. Mr. Adebayo chuckled. "We treat them well, of course." Emeka's eyes stayed steady. "Always?" Mr. Adebayo's smile twitched. "Yes, always." Emeka nodded again. "Slow. Interesting," he said. Mr. Adebayo tried to take control back. "Sir, I assure you, we have a strong culture. We reward good behavior." Emeka turned slightly, facing the crowd. "Let me ask the room a simple question," Emeka said. "Does this company believe that a married woman should be punished for refusing an immoral request?" The hall froze. For one full second, it felt like time stopped. Neka's breath caught in her throat. Mr. Adebayo's face changed so fast it was almost scary. His smile dropped, then tried to return, but it couldn't find the right place. He laughed loudly, fake and sharp. "Ha! Ha! What kind of question is that? This is a party." Emeka did not laugh. He turned back to Mr. Adebayo. "So it is not true?" Mr. Adebayo's voice rose. "It is not true. You're making trouble." Emeka nodded slowly, like he was listening to a child lie. "Okay," Emeka said calmly. "Then it will be easy to explain." Mr. Adebayo stepped closer, whispering through his teeth, but still on mic. "This is not part of the program," he said. Emeka's voice stayed even. "I know." Mr. Adebayo forced a smile at the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, please, let us focus on the celebration. This is business, not gossip." Emeka lifted his hand slightly, stopping him. "This is business," Emeka said, "because we don't partner with companies that destroy people for refusing wrong things." A sharp silence fell again. The board members stopped clapping completely now. The grey-haired man's eyes were on Mr. Adebayo, hard and focused. Another boardwoman leaned forward, her mouth tight. Mr. Adebayo swallowed. Emeka continued, still calm. "I didn't come here to embarrass anyone. I came here to understand what kind of leadership is in this company." Mr. Adebayo's voice shook slightly as he tried to laugh it off again. "Sir, please," he said, "you don't understand our internal issues." Emeka nodded. "Then help me understand." Emeka turned his head slowly, looking across the hall, and his eyes landed on Neka standing at the side with the tray. Some people followed his gaze. Then more people followed. Neka felt every eye in the room move toward her like a wave. She did not move. She did not drop the tray. She just stood there, her uniform clear under the bright lights, her face calm, her eyes steady. Emeka lifted the mic again, his voice still controlled. "Please," he said, "can the lady standing there tell the room her name?" Neka's heart thumped hard. Mr. Adebayo turned sharply, eyes wide now, like he had just realized he was no longer the one controlling the story. Neka opened her mouth, but her voice did not come out yet. Not because she was afraid, because the room had turned, and everyone could feel it. The hall stayed silent, heavy and still, like everyone was holding the same breath. Neka felt her legs shake slightly, but she stood firm. She placed the tray slowly on a nearby table and lifted her head. "My name is Neka Okafor," she said clearly. Her voice surprised even her. It did not break. It did not shake. It carried across the room like it belonged there. Emeka nodded once, like he was proud, but he did not smile. Mr. Adebayo laughed suddenly, loud and sharp, trying to cut the moment in half. "This is nonsense," he said. "She is a cleaner. Why are we doing this?" A quiet sound moved through the crowd. Not laughter, not clapping. Something else. Discomfort. Emeka turned to him slowly. "She is a cleaner now," he said. "Yes, but she was not always." "Mr. Adebayo waved his hand. "People are moved around all the time." Emeka nodded. "True, but not for refusing immoral offers." Mr. Adebayo's face tightened. "This is a lie." Emeka did not raise his voice. "Then let us check records." The gray-haired board member stood up slowly. "Records?" he asked. Emeka turned toward him. "Yes, sir. HR files, reassignment letters, timestamps, complaints that were never logged." The board woman beside him stood too. "Are you saying a staff was punished for refusing something personal?" Mr. Adebayo's voice cracked as he tried to laugh again. "This is ridiculous. This man is twisting things." Emeka lifted his hand slightly. "I am not twisting anything." He looked at Neka again. "Neka, when were you moved from your secretary role?" Neka swallowed once. "The morning after I refused him." A loud gasp escaped from somewhere in the hall. Mr. Adebayo shouted, "That is a lie." The board man raised his voice. "Mr. Adebayo, please sit." Mr. Adebayo froze. The board woman turned to Neka. "Did you receive a query? A warning?" Neka shook her head. "No, ma." "Any performance review?" the woman asked. "No," Neka replied. The board members exchanged looks. Kemi, standing among the staff, looked pale now. Her smile was gone. Her phone was no longer raised. Mr. Adebayo took a step back. "This is a setup." Emeka spoke again. "I did not come here to attack anyone. I came here to decide if my company will sign a deal." The board man adjusted his glasses. "And?" Emeka's voice stayed calm. "I cannot sign a deal with a company that protects abuse." A heavy silence fell again. The board woman turned to Mr. Adebayo. "Is there any truth to this?" Mr. Adebayo opened his mouth, then closed it. His eyes darted around the room. Finally, he said, "This is internal. We will handle it." The board man shook his head slowly. "No, this is bigger than internal." Another board member stood. "If this is true, it puts the whole company at risk." Mr. Adebayo's voice broke. "You can't do this to me in public." The board woman replied firmly, "You did it to her in public." That sentence landed hard. People shifted. Some staff looked down. Some looked at Neka with new eyes. Not pity, respect. The board man spoke again. "Mr. Adebayo, step down from the stage." Mr. Adebayo stared at him. "What?" "Step down," the man repeated. "Effective immediately. You are suspended pending investigation." A wave of shock moved through the room. Mr. Adebayo laughed once, empty. "You can't be serious." The board woman answered, "We are." Security staff moved closer, not touching him, but close enough to make the message clear. Mr. Adebayo's shoulders slumped. For the first time that night, he looked small. Emeka lowered his mic. "My team will continue discussions with the board." The board man nodded. "Thank you." Neka stood still, her heart racing. She did not clap. She did not smile. She only watched as the man who had controlled her days was guided off the stage. As Mr. Adebayo passed her, their eyes met for a brief moment. He did not look angry anymore. He looked afraid. The hall buzzed with quiet voices now. Not laughter, not mockery. Soft, unsure sounds. The board woman walked toward Neka. "Please," she said gently, "come with us." Neka hesitated, then nodded. As she walked forward, people made space for her. No one laughed. No one whispered. She walked past Kemi, who could not lift her eyes. At the front, the board man spoke into the mic. "This event is paused," he announced. "We will address matters properly." He looked at Neka. "Thank you for your courage." Neka nodded once. "Thank you, sir." Emeka stood beside her now, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel him. Later that night, the hall emptied slowly. Outside, under the soft night air, Emeka finally reached for Neka's hand. "You were strong," he said quietly. Neka exhaled, like she had been holding her breath for weeks. "I was just honest." Emeka squeezed her hand. That was enough. Behind them, through the glass doors, the company lights stayed on, but something inside had changed forever. Not because someone shouted, but because truth walked into the room and refused to leave. Outside the hall, the night air felt cooler than it should, like Lagos itself had paused to watch what just happened. Neka stood near the car park lights, still in her grey uniform. The music from inside had stopped, but she could still hear small sounds through the glass doors. Board members talking low, staff whispering, shoes moving fast. Emeka kept holding her hand, steady like a rope. "You want to sit?" he asked. Neka shook her head slowly. "If I sit, I might not stand up again." Emeka nodded like he understood. "Okay, we stand." They stood there for a moment, both quiet, listening to the city noise far away. Neka felt tired, but not the tiredness from mopping floors. It was a different tiredness, the kind that comes after a long fear finally leaves. Then the glass doors opened and the grey-haired board member walked out with the board woman and another man in a suit. The grey-haired man adjusted his glasses. "Mr. Okonkwo." Emeka straightened. "Sir." The board woman looked at Neka, her eyes soft. "Neka." Neka nodded politely. "Ma." The grey-haired man spoke first. "We will not pretend we did not see what happened tonight." Emeka answered calmly. "Thank you, sir." The man looked at Neka again. "Are you willing to make a formal statement tomorrow morning?" Neka's throat tightened. She did not want to relive it, but she remembered the weeks of laughter, the uniform, the silence in HR. "Yes, sir," she said. The board woman nodded. "Good. We will need truth, not rumors." The other board man cleared his throat. "Mr. Adebayo is suspended already, but suspension is not the end." Emeka asked, "What happens next?" The grey-haired man answered, "We investigate. We check HR records. We speak to staff. We protect the company." Neka's eyes flicked down for a moment. Protect the company. Those words used to mean protect the powerful. Now, it sounded like something else. The board woman looked at Neka's uniform. Her face tightened. "Why were you told to wear that tonight?" she asked. Neka took a breath. "To shame me." The board woman's lips pressed together. "I see." The grey-haired man sighed. "This is not the culture we want." Emeka nodded slowly. "Then we are aligned." The grey-haired man looked at Emeka. "About the partnership." Emeka's voice stayed calm. "My partners are still willing, but we have conditions." The board man asked quickly, "What conditions?" Emeka answered without drama. "Clear HR reforms. A safe report system. Real punishment for abuse. Not only tonight's punishment. Real change." The board woman nodded, almost like she had been waiting to hear that. "Agreed." The grey-haired man turned to Neka again. "And your job?" Neka blinked. "My job?" "Yes," the man said. "Would you like to return to your role?" Neka's heart jumped, but she did not rush her answer. She remembered something Emeka told her. "Don't rush. Don't beg. Let truth speak." "I want my name cleared," she said carefully. "I want it written that I did nothing wrong." The board woman nodded. "That will be done." The grey-haired man looked at Emeka. "We will see you tomorrow morning." Emeka bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, sir." They walked back inside, leaving Neka and Emeka under the lights. For a moment, Neka just stared at the glass doors. She could still see the flower decorations, the gold cloth, the fancy tables, the place where people laughed at her. Emeka touched her arm gently. "You did well." Neka let out a slow breath. I don't feel like I did anything. Emeka shook his head. You did. You refused to let shame change you. Neka looked at him. When you called my name on that stage, I was scared. Emeka nodded. I know. Neka's voice became softer. But I also felt like I was not alone for the first time in that building. Emeka squeezed her hand. Because you were not. They got into the car and drove home in silence. Not awkward silence. Quiet silence. Like both of them were trying to let their hearts catch up. When they reached home, Neka removed her shoes and sat on the edge of the bed. Emeka sat beside her. Neka stared at her hands. Emeka, are you sure this won't bring trouble for you? Emeka's face stayed calm. Trouble is already there. We just stopped running from it. Neka nodded slowly. I'm thinking about tomorrow. Emeka leaned back. Me too. Neka looked at him. What if people at the office hate me more? Emeka shook his head. Some will. Some will not. But you won't be their toy again. Neka swallowed. I don't want to enter that building and feel small again. Emeka turned to her fully. Then don't. Neka looked up. What? Emeka spoke gently. You don't have to stay there to prove anything. Neka's chest warmed. But my years. Emeka nodded. You gave them years. And they showed you who they are. Even if they change now. You saw them. Neka stared at the wall, thinking. She remembered the first day she entered that company, excited, proud. She remembered how she used to pack lunch with care, thinking she was building a future. Then she remembered the uniform, the mop, the laughter. She looked at Emeka again. So what do I do? Emeka's voice was calm, steady. Do what you always do. Choose yourself. Neka breathed in. I want to write my resignation. Emeka nodded once, like he already knew she would say that. You're sure? He asked. Neka nodded. Yes. Not because I'm angry. Not because I want revenge. Because I don't want to keep giving my life to a place that only respects people when they fear them. Emeka's eyes softened. Okay. Neka stood up and went to her bag. She brought out the folded invitation and stared at it for a moment. Then she dropped it into the small bin beside the bed. She opened her notebook and found a clean page. Emeka watched her quietly. Neka began to write, her pen moving slow and steady. The next morning, at the office, the building felt different. People were not laughing today. They were whispering with fear. As Neka walked in, wearing a simple dress, not her uniform, eyes followed her again. But this time, the eyes were careful. Kemi stood near the reception with her friends. When she saw Neka, her mouth opened slightly, then closed. Neka walked past without stopping. At HR, the same woman who had smiled stiffly before looked up fast. Neka, she said, voice tight. Please, sit. Neka did not sit. She placed a letter on the desk. The HR woman stared at it. What is this? Neka's voice was calm. My resignation. The woman's eyes widened. Resignation? Wait. Please. We can fix this. Neka shook her head. Fixing is not the same as healing. The HR woman swallowed. The board is asking for you. Neka nodded. I will speak to them. The HR woman picked up the letter with shaky hands. Neka, please, don't do this. Neka's eyes stayed steady. I'm doing it because I want peace. Later, in a board meeting room, the gray-haired boardman looked at Neka and sighed. We got your resignation, he said. Neka nodded. Yes, sir. The board woman leaned forward. Are you sure? Neka looked at her and spoke softly. Yes, ma. The gray-haired man paused. Why? Neka took a breath. Because I don't want to spend my life waiting for people to treat me like a human being. The room stayed quiet. Emeka sat at the far side of the table now, calm and clean in his suit, like someone who had stepped out of the shadows. The gray-haired man nodded slowly. We will respect your choice. The board woman's voice softened. Your name will be cleared, officially. Neka nodded again. Thank you. As she stood to leave, the gray-haired man spoke one more time. Neka, he said, you showed character. Neka paused at the door. Emeka stood too, looking at her with quiet pride. Neka turned back and smiled a little. Not a big smile, just a small one. "I just kept myself," she said. She walked out of the room, and for the first time in a long time, her steps felt light. Not because life had become easy, but because she was no longer carrying shame that did not belong to her.